Hello and thank you very much indeed for watching. This is exclusive content from the World Retail Congress 2017 here in Dubai, where I caught up with Andrew Higginson. Let's hear what Andrew has to say. Well, I'm here with Andy Higginson, who's the chairman of Morrisons. Andy, thanks very much indeed for joining us here at the World Retail Congress in Dubai. You just finished a tremendous session. One of the things that many people have spoken about today and also yesterday was the importance of culture. And you've come from a number of different organisations in your career. I'd just like you to compare and contrast, if you don't mind, the culture of Poundland, where its name describes it, everything is a pound, to the sort of culture of Morrisons, where I suppose it's pretty difficult to buy anything for under £1 at the moment.
Yeah. No, there's plenty available for under £1, but I mean, the thing about retail businesses, there are a lot of things that are actually common to the different businesses. There's a big focus on execution, there's a big focus on getting things done. I think organisationally, the better retailers are meritocracies where people get on in their careers.
Benevolent dictatorships, or?
Well, I think that there's. I think a lot of those days are behind us. I mean, the old JFDI philosophy, has gone from most businesses, because I think most businesses, certainly in the grocery sector, where you've got, we're the fourth biggest player, but we've got 120,000 employees and so on in the UK. You've got to have a situation where there are lots of leaders in the business, not one person dictating everything. Having said that, one person at the top can make a very big difference, but you have to have a culture within the organisation of allowing people at store level to take decisions for customers day to day, and not be requiring them to sort of feed back to head office to ask permission all the time. So I think those days when you had these big sort of retail giants who dictated what went on within a firm, I think that's a kind of broken model that's in the past, really.
And in terms of sort of scale, take a business like Morrisons, with its sort of scale, both in terms of stores, also its food preparation within the stores, versus I suppose a slightly more less complex business like Poundland. Does that ingrain a slightly different culture in the organisation, or not?
Slightly. I think it brings different benefits and different challenges. I mean, clearly Morrisons has the opportunity to sell many more things than Poundland does, because Poundland was constrained by that £1 price point. Having said that, Poundland benefited from simplicity. Shelf edge labelling was very straightforward. Running the tills was very straightforward, and the price list was the same for everything. As I said in the presentation just a few minutes ago, the buying strategy was very simple, because suppliers came in knowing that it was £1. No one came in with a brilliant idea at £1.20. Everything was £1. So it became one of curating the range and getting that right, rather than necessarily buying for different price points. So the benefits of that simplicity came through in very much lower operating costs, and therefore that ability to trade at £1 and make a good margin. Morrisons is much more complicated in the sense that we have, 40, 50, 60,000 products if you take it on a SKU level basis, and of course they're all at different prices, but that also gives you the opportunity to sell many more things, and so it's a different model, different end shopping trip in a way, and both have their different challenges.
We're entering a sort of a retail sort of era of an amazing amount of complexity, different multi-channel, different types of consumers changing very fast. You made a very passionate point a little earlier at the session, which was about simplicity. We have to get simplicity into the business. How on earth do you do that with so much complexity around?
Well, I think complexity's always been there. It's just been different things in different eras. I think the one thing I've learned in business is you can't be a victim, and it's very easy to convince yourself how hard life is and how difficult it is, and so on and so forth. But you can't be a victim. You have to deal with the circumstances that you're faced with. And one of the ways to deal with those is to keep things very simple. Particularly the bigger the organisation gets, as I say, with 120,000 colleagues in the business, if you don't communicate simply, all sorts of things can go wrong in terms of what you intend to do and what actually comes out the other end. So I think that sort of power of simplicity, just keep reminding yourself what is it we're trying to do. At the end of the day, we're trying to sell fresh food, great quality at great prices to our customers, and just always remember that for all the complexities of having to deal with the internet and different ways of delivery and the changes within the food market hasn't grown much, but within it it's changed a lot in what people are buying. But at the end of the day, that is our simple mission, and so we've just got to keep bringing it back to those simple things. Otherwise, it's easy to get confused, easy to get sort of sidetracked on the wrong things, and as I say, easy to become a victim of well, things would be so much better if it wasn't so difficult, and you've got to avoid that trap.
One of the issues that the food industry has had, I suppose, is the complexity in e-commerce as more and more consumers find home delivery more convenient, but just the complexity of managing both sort of an online business and offline business. What advice would you give to other retailers at the moment who are facing that complexity and also having to make some hard decisions in terms of massive investments of what they should do?
Well, I think arguably convenience has been the driving factor in grocery retailing forever, in a way. The single biggest factor of choice has always been what's my nearest store, and so it takes a lot to get someone to drive past a competitor an extra mile to come to your store, and that's what a lot of what we're dedicated to doing, is to try and show that our stores are better than the competition. But convenience in its broadest sense has always been part of that. I mean, if I go back to when I started in the grocery industry in the 90s, late opening was 8 o'clock, and then we introduced 24 hours because that was more convenient. Not that a lot of people shopped at 3 o'clock in the morning, but there was no pressure to come by a specific time. You could turn up when it was convenient to you. When that wasn't enough, we put all the products under one roof. The hypermarket concept was, the convenience of having everything under one roof. When people wanted a store more locally down the road, we opened what is known as convenience retailing in the form of small shops. And when that wasn't enough, we delivered it to your home and walked it into the kitchen for you. So that sort of drive for convenience has been there a long time. I think what you're always trying to do is to trade off the cost of complexity with the need to be a discounter, because supermarkets have always been discounters, and in a sense the reason that supermarkets got into a bit of trouble at the end of the noughties, if you like, as you got into 2010, 11, was that they lost sight slightly of that need to be a discounter, and they ceded ground to what's known as limited assorted discounters, in particular Aldi and Lidl, but also people like Poundland and B&M and Home Bargains, because they lost sight of that basic mission. But if you go back to the origins of supermarkets, which were about self-service compared to serve over counters as they were in those days, that was all about being a cheaper model that would allow you to offer products more cheaply to customers, less expensively, and be a discounter.
As the chairman of Morrisons, how important is the Morrisons brand to you? Is that something that occupies a lot of chairman time or not?
Well, at the end of the day, a business that's been going since 1899 as we have, you are both constrained but also liberated by the strength of your brand. When I joined Morrisons and I brought David Potts in, who I'd worked with at Tesco, to be the CEO, a lot of people said, they're going to try and turn it into Tesco. Well, that'd be a catastrophe. I mean, first of all, having spent 15 years on the board at Tesco, I know that Tesco are quite good at being Tesco, so why would we want to be Tesco? Yeah. On the other hand, Morrisons, in an industry where it's quite hard to differentiate yourself, everyone's selling Heinz beans, Kellogg's cornflakes, etc. Morrisons was the most quirky of all the retailers, because it had this market street, it had the skills still in store in butchers and fishmongers and cake makers and bakers and so on and so forth. And so actually what we wanted to do was go back to the brand and back to what Morrisons was famous for, back to what Morrisons stood for, and reinforce those points of difference rather than trying to be the same as other retailers who are pursuing their own strategy. And the one thing I've learned in life is you can learn a lot from your competitors. You scour the market and you look for great ideas and competitive threats like a hawk. But the one thing you have to be is you have to be Morrisons, and that's what we're trying to do.
Well, Thank you very much indeed for joining us. It's been a privilege to talk to you at the World Retail Congress here in Dubai.
Thanks very much.
Thanks
Good
a
to see
lot.
you. Thanks.
Thank you very much indeed for watching. This is just one of the interviews that we conducted at the World Retail Congress 2017 in Dubai, where we broadcast every night with an hour's long programme. In order to see any of those programmes or to watch any of the other interviews, just go to this website here. My name's David Roth from WPP. Thank you very much indeed for watching.